Hello, and welcome to the brand new Restricted Area podcast, where we'll talk all things NBA and WNBA. I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith, all the way out in North Dakota, and Logan Hatfield, a little closer here in the Northern Kentucky area. So, first episode, boys, how we feeling?
Good. Excited to get started. A new start, not just for us, but for the all of the podcasters. We got a baseball podcast on the way. I'm sure Logan will have some involvement in that. And just loving the new start, the new look. Got the fresh little banner made with the Cincy skyline for CX Network. Like, I'm excited what we do next.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Logan.
I'm happy to be here. Excited for this new journey. Alex hit me up to do this. I said absolutely, easiest yes I've ever had. So I just can't wait to get started. Keep talking hoops with you boys and just see where we can take this.
I would say it's been a while since you've been on a pod, so I'm sure you've been itching to,
Yeah,
to speak.
yeah. No, I have a lot to say.
Gets calling you like the Green Goblin mask.
I know.
All right, well, let's get into it. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and we've had an exciting second round so far. The Pacers lead 2-1 over the Cavs right now, and Colton, I know you have a little bit more of an invested interest in that, so just let us know what you've seen from your team so far.
Yeah, it's been an interesting series so far. It was really great because I missed the best game of the series. I was working, we were building a tent, and I looked at the score and I saw like they were down like 15 in the first quarter. I'm like, here we go, Cavs are going to put it on them at home. And I'm walking to my car, and my roommate's like, Tyrese Halliburton game winner. I'm like, what? And he's a Cavs fan, so obviously rubbed it in. But I was so disappointed I missed that. But I obviously watched the highlights and all of that, and I watched pretty well the entirety of Game 3. And there's a very clear difference when they're not missing Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and they were missing somebody else in Game 1 and 2. But regardless, I think Evan Mobley's the biggest difference maker. But I first got to give a huge shout out to Donovan Mitchell, who's just absolutely balling right now. Through the first 3 games, 41.3 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, 6 assists, just absolutely nuclear. And I feel like Mitchell, we just expect this out of Mitchell. And I don't feel like he gets talked about enough as one of the best playoff performers in the league. Like, he's been doing this since his rookie year. He knocked off Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and all of that Thunder team, like in his rookie year. And he deserves a lot of credit for what he does. And now that he has Evan Mobley back, Mobley's been like that solid second guy, 20 points, 10 rebounds. He missed Game 2, but then 8 and 13 in Game 3. And also a shout out to Jared Allen, because he's also doing really well. And he's that guy who said the lights were too bright a couple of years back. Well, I think they've dimmed down for him a little bit. But the last thing I want to say before I let you guys speak on it, I think the rebounds is what's going to be the difference. If Mobley and Allen are out there, it's just going to be ugly for the Pacers. So we got Miles Turner. We have some size, but it's not like Twin Towers size like the Cavs over there. So they out rebounded the Pacers in Game 3, 56-37, and the Pacers had 4 offensive rebounds all game, whereas the Cavs had 18. If you think about it, if they just get half of those second chance points as just twos, that's 9 extra points right there, or 18 extra points. That math. So like that's just where the difference to this series is going to lie. If the Cavs or the Pacers can somehow get the Cavs off the boards, that'll be a big difference. But I just don't see it with Mobley and Allen. Like each of them are getting 10 to 15 rebounds a game, and the Pacers are kind of a weird team where we have some really good rebounding guards in McConnell, Nembhard, and Halliburton, despite their size, and they're just not going to be able to get the rebounds that they're used to getting with those 2 bigs in the center. So the Pacers looked really good taking 2 away games, but there's definitely an asterisk to that. And I think we'll find out tonight. I don't want to say much more because they literally play tonight. So anything I say could age very poorly. I'm obviously rooting for my Pacers, but I'm also equally as worried about them as well.
Logan?
Right. So, first of all, I was pleasantly surprised with the effort that the Pacers put in those first 2 games. Now, the Cavaliers not having Garland, Mobley, or Hunter,
Yeah,
those are
Hunter.
three very key players for them and what they're trying to do. And I told myself even when they went down 2-0, I said if they get their guys back in the lineup, there's no reason the Cavs aren't going to win this series. I still have full faith in them. Obviously, we're going to see tonight. 3-1's hard to come back from, but if the Cavs can even it up and retake home court, I think it's their series to lose. Um, I like you said, Donovan Mitchell, all-time playoff riser, and he dropped 48 in a loss. That one was crazy for me. He was just out there throwing everything at the basket, and it was all going in. And it does help when your all-star backcourt mate isn't playing, that all those shots are going to be going for you.
Right.
But yeah, no, and the Pacers especially. I know you have watched a lot of Pacers basketball this year. They're that type of team that they will beat you strictly because they worked harder than you. Like they are an effort-driven team. Rick Carlisle, he's got a high motor team going up there in Indianapolis, and I really do think that the Cavs will win the series. However, you never know. If the Pacers show up tonight, they could close it out. I really think they can.
Y'all
Yeah.
hit
Yeah.
pretty much everything I was going to say. I think the Cavs are going to come back still, but Halliburton has been playing crazy. What is it, 10 of 11 on game tying or game winning shots this season? And then the Pacers are shooting well from three. They're shooting 40% and then 80% from the free throw line. So they've been playing as well as they needed to. But I think the difference with those missing players is going to come back to bite the Pacers. It's been a fun first two games, and then the third one was a little rough. But I think the Cavs will probably end up still winning this one.
hmm Yeah, no, the one last thing I wanted to say is the scoring for the Pacers, which is pretty common for them, has been very spread. Like there's six players averaging 15 or more points in this series. So Miles Turner had an outstanding start to game 3, and Halliburton finally shaking the overrated. Like I wasn't even one that really hardly defended him because there were some times like he was, but I think he's definitely shaken that. And seeing him kind of take the role that we've been wanting him to take is special. It's nice to see. But a lot rides on tonight. I agree. I think if the Pacers don't capitalize and make this a 3-1 series, I think the Cavs are back. We're back to where we started on an even footing, and the Cavs will just pull away. Because what's the next game? It's in Cleveland. They want to get a win for their home fans. So, yeah, I think this is pretty much the series here, if you ask me, for the Pacers. I know it's early. Anything can happen, but we need to be knocking our shots down. That's how we win games, when we don't have the advantage of Evan Mobley being out, Hunter and Garland.
If the Pacers get nothing else out of the series, they get overrate that, and that was pretty tough. So
Yeah,
I feel like they can have that.
that was so cold. I'm still so mad I missed all that.
Yeah, but moving on to the next series, the Knicks lead 2-1 over the Celtics. Two of the crazier games in the first two, and the Celtics had 20-point leads in both of those games and lost them both. So, in your all's eyes, what's going on?
It's a battle of the two best road teams in the NBA, getting wins on the road. These are two teams that have made a living all year of not exactly playing their best ball for the home fans, but they go on the road and they get it done. And that's why I think this series I can see it going to 7, because I don't think either of these teams can string 3 or 4 wins in a row. I really do. Now I will say I still think Boston. Even the same thing with the Pacers Cavs series. I know they went down 2-0, but I can't count out the Celtics in the playoffs. I really can't. This Knicks team, they look good. They play tough defense, but I really just think at the end of the day, even if the series goes to 7, and that last one in Boston, I do think Boston will win a home game eventually. And my pick is still Boston. I still got faith in them, and I think Tatum is gonna start stepping up here soon, hopefully. I mean, he definitely played better in Game 3. Those first 2 games were rough for him. I know he's also not 100% healthy, but it'd be nice to see him. I know their former Finals MVP Jaylen Brown hasn't looked all that good either, but Derek White's been he's been rising, so I got to give him his credit. But yeah, Celtics in 7.
Another underrated playoff guy, Derek White, for sure.
Yeah.
Colton, what you got?
Yeah, so this series, it's pretty interesting because we're seeing like that element we were waiting for the Celtics to have. Like they're a big 3-point shooting team, and they have game one the worst 3-point shooting. I believe I read this right in the history of the NBA playoffs. Missed like the most amount. Was it 45 missed threes?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, regardless, it was just a crazy, stupid number. And then the Timberwolves that night also put up a pretty bad 3-point shooting performance. But like, it's the saying is live by the 3, die by the 3. And we had really, in the past 2 years, have never seen the Celtics die by the 3. And we saw it a little bit in the Magic series where the Magic, the best 3-point shooting defense in the league, gave them some trouble. So I wonder if the Knicks kind of picked up a little bit of what the Magic did, because even in game 3, they shot a lot better than the first 2, but you can kind of still tell it's still there. So I think that's the interesting thing is did the Knicks figure out how to stop the Celtics from making threes? And if so, I do think the Celtics die by the 3. And the Knicks are a really talented team that if, we could get a little more rotation in there, not have to worry about injury issues, I could say they could really make it further. But that being said, I'm with Logan. I still have faith in the Celtics team. This is the first real punch in the mouth they've had. I guess we would consider this an era, like since last playoffs, I guess you could say. So it's interesting to see how the Celtics will bounce back. Brown and Tatum both haven't looked the best to start this series. And it's been the role players that have kind of kept them in it. So if Tatum or Brown can get going, they play tomorrow, then we could definitely see them to return to form. And then that creates a pretty interesting matchup between either the Cavs or the Pacers next round. I think it's a very nice part. And I was talking about this the other day where the parity in the NBA is so nice. Like we're in the semifinals, and these are basically like, if you go 5 years back, these feel like conference finals matchups back in the day. So it's really nice to have that luxury right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me for the Celtics is Kristaps not being healthy, him being in and out of the lineup.
True.
Has hurt them a ton.
Yes.
I feel like, and fellas, let's be honest, if Peyton Pritchard doesn't have a hell of a game, I think they're down 3-0 right now.
That's honestly true, yeah.
And another thing that could help the Knicks is if Jalen Brunson plays any type of good ball in the first 3 quarters, that would help. So I think the Knicks are looking pretty good. I would still lean on the Celtics just because they've been here before, more recently, obviously. But I think to say Tatum and Brown haven't played well is a bit of an understatement. Mm-hmm. All 3 games combined, 42 of 121. That is 34%.
That's quite the split.
And game 3 actually helped the numbers, and they combined for 15 of 38. So that just speaks to how poorly they've been shooting. If they can't figure that out, it may be an upset, and we may have a new champion this year.
Can't say I would complain about that. Keep the streak going.
Yeah, I don't have any biased interest in this at all, but
no,
I don't think I would mind that either.
Just zoom in on the Lakers shirt.
But let's see what else we got. Thunder and Nuggets has been competitive. That series is 2-1.
Yeah, Logan.
Denver's leading. Logan, you have a little invested interest there. What have you seen?
Yeah, so especially in game 1. By the way, I consider this series to be the Western Conference Finals. All the respect to the Timberwolves and the Warriors.
I can't. On both sides, I can't agree with that. The Timberwolves got something going there.
Hey, shout out to Julius Randle. But hey, we'll talk. We'll talk more about them in a second.
Of course.
This series, I could especially tell in game 1. I understand. Getting a sweep in the first round is nice and having that rest, but you could tell in game 1 which one of those teams had 6 days off and which one was just coming off of still going to a game 7. It was a matter of the rust or the wear and tear, which one was going to show up. And honestly, I think it was a little bit of both. But the Thunder are 3 plays away from this series being 3-0 in their favor. So realistically, that's one way you could look at it. But also, they needed to get punched in the mouth. That series against Memphis was far too easy, I must say. And then, what confuses me is, you have that heartbreaking loss in game one, which, by the way, I respect Aaron Gordon, known playoff riser Aaron
I was
Gordon.
gonna say that's
For
another
sure,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. And then game two, they go out and blow them out. That there was no part of that game that ever even seemed close. And then game three, obviously Denver's a tough road environment. They played him close. He's my favorite player, but I gotta say it. SGA and Jokic had a mid off in game three. They got 15 for 45 combined. Everyone was saying it was a battle of who deserves the MVP less. I got my answer on that question, but I feel like you guys already know who my vote for MVP would go to. But I realistically think, just like the last two, even though they're down, I still got OKC in this one, especially if OKC can even it up today. I don't think they lose another game. I think Coach Dagnall is fouling up three strategy in game one. I think it's gonna, that gave him a bad light, but I think he's gonna start to get Denver figured out. I think the fact that Denver is rocking an interim head coach, I think that's gonna come back to bite him eventually. It hasn't yet. I've been very impressed with him, but I think if this series goes to 6-7 games, I think that coaching experience is gonna start to show through for Coach Dagnall. And give me Thunder in 6 as it stands.
Thunder in 6. Well, they actually, this video will come out tomorrow, but they'll tip
45
off.
minutes.
Yeah, about 45 minutes. So we'll see. We'll see how that ages. That'll be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like you said it pretty well. I do feel like the Nuggets kind of found something. I will say the Pacers game had just ended. I was a little tired of basketball after having to sit through that, so I didn't really tune in until the end of the game. But like you said, this series could just as easily be 3-0 or 2-1 in the Thunder favor. So, yeah, the Nuggets have been a little inconsistent even in their first series. So with the Thunder getting their legs under them after having the absolute cakewalk that was the first round, I think they're more on an upward trajectory, and we'll just have to see what the Nuggets are doing. And I kind of just feel like the Nuggets have a lot of luck. Even that Clippers series, there's a lot of things that went their way that got them through that. And I think at some point their luck's going to run out. Will it be in this series? Will it be in the next series? I don't know. But I would side with you. I don't know about 6. I think Thunder in 7, maybe just because I want a 7-game series. You want it to be nice and easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, today's going to tell a lot. I think you get to this part of the series, you've seen what the first 3 games bring, but you get to this game, and especially game 5 after a couple of days off and another trip, that's when you really get to know, okay, this is how it's going. Because there's a couple series that started one way and ended the other way, and I think this is one that could really turn out like that. What adjustments are made, and having an interim head coach is probably – it could be the best thing or it could be the worst thing, because you just don't know what you haven't done yet. So he might just try something that Mike Malone would have never thought of. But yeah, the Nuggets do look very good. But I do resent that Western Conference Finals. So I think the Timberwolves have something to say about that. They're a playoff rising team right now, for sure.
They proved that last year, so I wouldn't doubt them to do it again this year. But things that I've noticed, I really feel like every Denver win has kind of been like an anomaly win in itself.
Yes.
Denver out-rebounded OKC by 20 in game 1, and OKC missed 33. So I felt like that wasn't going to happen again.
There's so many missed threes in the game ones of this series. And that kind of attributed to all the higher seeds losing. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, you're good. Obviously, it didn't happen in game 2. They won by 1 billion.
They sure did.
Points in the paint, OKC was 52-28 and 26-5 on the fast break. I think they proved in that game they're the better team. They just have to play like it. Game 3, another anomaly. SGA and Chet both shot terribly. I don't think that's going to happen again, at least not both at the same time. And all but Christian Brown, for their starters for Denver, scored 20-plus points. That's not happening again either. So
what's the next thing that's only a one-time thing that's going to happen?
Russell Westbrook gets a quadruple-double. That's what's going to happen next. It has to. I think that's what's coming next.
Oh,
what
man.
would you even think about that, Logan? That's such a conflicting occurrence.
As I look behind me to my shoe rack and I see a couple pairs of Westbrook basketball shoes, I have to be cautious here with how I say this. I think that would be awesome. You know, I'm a Westbrook fan till I die. I always will be. However, I gotta root against him. You know, I kind of cheer a little bit when he gets the ball in the corner because I'm not gonna lie. I've watched him for a long time. I usually know how those looks go. Um, he's been making a few, but for the most part, you know, I kind of know what to expect from him at this point.
Mhm.
Would be happy to see Westbrook, you know, go get a ring, but not this year. Not this time. He's still got some time left.
Yeah, I used to cheer for Westbrook. I don't know what changed. But yeah,
Zoom into the Lakers shirt again.
the series has definitely been fun. I just think Denver doesn't win the series because they can't continue to keep having these anomaly games. I don't see it
Exactly.
happening.
That's what
I
that's what I've
agree.
been trying to say. But then again, I said that about Game 3, and then you saw what happened. So anything's possible.
The-
All I want to say before we move on is that Thunder, I'm mostly rooting for you guys because, like, I bet with Josh that Thunder would win. So, yeah, better win. That's all I'm saying. I'm coming for that banner if they don't.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Uh, so moving on to the last series, the T Wolves and the Warriors have been exciting too. That series sits at 2-1 Minnesota. The T Wolves, as we talked about, went 5 for 29 from three in game one, and nobody expected that to happen again. It didn't. They went 16 for 37 in game two. Both games and the first two were blowouts. Game three was an exciting, finally, 102-97 game where Minnesota won. What have you all noticed?
Julius Randle. I've noticed Julius
Mm-hmm.
Randle. Um, he that was like the big question mark. You know, after that trade with the Knicks, and then seeing the Timberwolves start this playoff run was, you know what you're going to get out of Emmett, you know what you're going to get out of Rudy Gobert. At this point, you're even starting to know what you're going to get out of Jaden McDaniels. However, that was the big question mark: was which Julius Randle was going to show up? Was it going to be that Knicks prime Julius Randle hitting all the clutch shots, you know, putting up 30-point double doubles every game, or were we going to get the Julius Randle that was turning the ball over in the clutch and, you know, having Knicks fans all of a sudden hate him? We got that prime time Julius Randle. He's proven himself as a playoff riser, and he has been the absolute difference maker for the Minnesota Timberwolves in this series. And I picked the Wolves in this series before, but now that Curry's out and I see Randall's playing like this, I'm not even sure if the Warriors pick up another game. Um, I really think that the Wolves have kind of got him figured out, and you're not going to get another 0 for 10 shooting half out of Ant ever again. So I really do think the Wolves take this one, and they head to the Western Conference Finals again.
I feel like you knew the Timberwolves had it when Ant reminded us that Kerr said there's no way we're taking you number one, which may be one of the worst quotes from one of the best coaches of all time. Like
James Wiseman.
James Wiseman, he was on the Pacers this year for like 2 seconds. Yeah, no, you put it pretty great. I'm really high on this Timberwolves team, which is hilarious because I was super low. But I knew, like, the thing with Randall it was the playoffs. I wasn't sold on him as a playoff performer. I was sold on him after round one. I was like, maybe he doesn't get two in a row, but seeing him now, yeah, I love how he's flipped that. Randall's a guy that I've always I remember just listening to an interview of him. Like, he's a really chill guy. He's not like most NBA players. So I mess with Randall a lot. So I'm happy to see him kind of proving the haters wrong, just like Tyrese this playoffs. And I think this Thunder team poses a threat to anybody. Their defense, they don't even need Rudy Gobert anymore, really, to have that good defensive intensity. And I think they're Jaden McDaniels. I remember, like, Ant being out like for a couple weeks. That brother looked like Michael Jordan out there. Like, he was insane, just balling. So, like, having him have that like little stretch of, oh yeah, that's right, I'm not just a like 3-and-D guy. I can create for myself. I feel like we've seen that kind of play out in the playoffs where he's learned how to do that and fit next to Ant still and all that. And Naz Reid, of course, is another one who's a playoff riser. So I really like this team. Mike Conley's, like 80, but he's still out there, getting buckets and doing his thing. And I really think this Timberwolves team is a threat to win the title. So I think the Western Conference Finals is the Western Conference Finals. However that falls.
That's fair. And real quick, all the power to Mike Conley, but let Rob Dillingham have his minutes. Come on, let's be real. We want to watch good hoops. Let Rob Dillingham have his minutes, please.
I do want to pose a question that Josh posed to me and Alex. He asked, and we both had the same answer pretty bluntly. Does the fact that Curry is not in this series tarnish Ant's legacy at all?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Glad we're all in agreement there.
We're all in agreement. It's like bro just silenced Luka and LeBron, and Curry's out, and so we're questioning that. Nah. I just wanted to make sure me and Alex weren't crazy, which I knew we weren't.
He's taking down Bron, Luka, and KD all in series. I'm not worried about his legacy being tarnished by this one.
Bro is
took down Jimmy Butler
player right now. Yeah, he's still got Jimmy Butler, and I'm still waiting. There's got to be like Ant and Draymond get into it at some point in this series, right?
For sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, like at some point, especially with Draymond and like running around like a headless chicken last night. Like, I can't wait for it.
Loose cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only big things I've noticed from this series is Steph is expected to be out till Game 6. I don't think it's going to make it to Game 6.
Nope.
So that's concerning. And then they can't even win a game where Jonathan Kuminga scores 30. So I think that's pretty incriminating, I guess, for lack of a better term. They are going to lose the rest of these games, I would imagine. And Ant will set anybody who's in front of him on fire. So this should not be an interesting series the rest of the way, I don't think. But yeah, as you mentioned, Randall's having the best playoffs of his career, so shout out to him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Loving it.
All right, fellas. So now we move to, I guess, what's basically our first segment of the show, Foul or Flop, where we bring you our favorite quote, usually from the week. I might be cheating a little bit this time, but that's okay. It's only the first one. Won't happen again. Then we react foul, whether they have a point, or flop, where they're selling baloney. So do you all want me to go first, or?
Yeah, you're the host. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
So mine is maybe like a two-parter from Malik Beasley, who said Asar is the best defender in the league, and I'm the best shooter in the league. That's going to be a flop for me, fellas. I wrote down some names. Better defenders than Asar: Mobley, Dyson Daniels, Draymond, Gobert, Lou Dort, Derek White. He might be top 10, but he's not number 1. And better shooters than Malik Beasley, me. Beasley's been in the league since 2016 and shot 40%. Only 4 times and only twice in the playoffs. So I don't think you can really make that claim. So it's a flop for me. Would you all agree?
Yeah, I'm flop on there. And the defender I'd like to mention is Alex Caruso. But
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
no,
fair.
Neither one of those things is true. I mean, like, I just wouldn't even consider it to be close either. Like, that's the craziest part. I was just gonna say anything.
The only defense I'll give Asur could be like that level of defender someday.
Yeah.
But he's not there yet.
Right.
Definitely not there yet. But Malik Beasley's nowhere close. Yeah, I'm flopping on that.
Yeah, so that's mine for this week. So, Colton, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give mine. And I believe this came out this week. It says 5 days ago, so I'm guessing. But I thought it was a little earlier than that. Anyways, I'm going with Buddy Hield. I sent you back once. I'm going to send you back again. Saying that to Dylan Brooks, going all the way back to college on that. That's tough. Buddy Hield is one of the NBA players of all time. He was on my Pacers. I wish he gave like 1% of the effort he gave the Warriors when he was, he's giving the Warriors that when he was on the Pacers, because he certainly did not play defense. I'm absolutely saying this is a foul. Like, this is absolutely cold, and I love going back to the college days. Like, that brother must have had beef with Dylan Brooks back then, and just knew what was coming.
Yeah, not a hard thing to have beef with Dylan Brooks in this day and age. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Bring those rivalries from college into the league. I think that's great. I think that's just great for the league in general. And massive callback from Buddy Hield. But
Yeah.
if he wants to bring something up to Dante DiVincenzo this series or any of the Nova boys, they can just remind him what happened when Oklahoma matched up against Nova in the Final Four. That was not a pretty sight at all for anyone
But he just looks at Dante and looks away. He's got nothing to say.
involved.
Yeah, it's definitely foul for me too. I appreciate any hatred that's brought up from that far back.
Yeah.
That's just a different level of hate, and I
And to
gotta
Dylan
respect it.
Brooks, the
Yeah, Dylan
biggest
Brooks.
shit talker in the NBA.
Yeah, he likes to pick at LeBron and act like he's even close to him. So I enjoy anybody who doesn't enjoy Dylan Brooks.
If I was an NBA player.
And Logan,
My quote's pretty simple. I once I kind of saw the rundown and that this was gonna be like a quote segment, it immediately came into my head after Game 2 of the Nuggets Thunder series. Interim head coach Adelman proceeded. They asked him, how he felt. He just said, "We got punked." Said, "We got punked," and you know what? I'm going foul on that because they did. They did. I thought that was a hilarious way of putting it. There's a new NBA quote graphic that's going to be used for years to come,
Yeah.
and I just thought it was funny, and he put it bluntly, and I respected the honesty, so I'm going foul on that one.
Yeah. Definitely a foul for me as well. Very valid.
yeah, we already talked about it. It's definitely a foul because the Thunder are just better, and it gets proven. Uh, so yeah, that's a foul for me. So moving along now, taking a look at the upcoming WNBA season. The playoffs are top 8 regardless of conference affiliation. So who do we have as our top 8? Logan, I'll let you go.
Yeah, so I kind of split this up into two sections. I have six locks.
Mm.
I think it's Liberty, Lynx, Aces, Dream, Storm, and Fever. Those are my six locks, and then I think those last two, it's going to come down to the Wings, Mercury, Sparks, and Sky fighting for the last two. I think, and I am leaning pretty heavy on the Wings, so I really just think it's the last three fighting for that last one. But I think when you get kind of into that territory,
Mm.
it's kind of like how I feel about watching like the bottom, like the 7 to 10, like the Eastern Conference plan is basically how I feel about when you get into that
Yeah,
territory. It could go. It's anyone's game at that point.
yeah, I would mostly agree. At my one, I have Minnesota. I think they're going to be the hungriest team coming into this season. They came up one game short of winning a title, and
Mm.
Nafisa Collier's a psychopath, so I feel like she's going to be ready for another great season. Second, I have New York. They're returning everyone besides Benijah Laney Hamilton and Courtney Vandersloot. So I think they'll still be tough because they were just like role players. They could definitely fill those holes. And Indiana, obviously, as a Fever fan, is the team I'm most excited for. I think they fall in that 3 slot. They're the most overhauled team this offseason, and I think the one with the most potential. It's just with a shorter WNBA season, you got to get that chemistry fast. So we'll see how that goes. And then Las Vegas is my 4. Asia Wilson and Jewel Lloyd are on the same team now. That's really all I need to say. I don't think they're going to be better than those top 3, but they're at least going to be in the conversation because they have those two. Phoenix, Alyssa Thomas, Kalia Copper, and Satu Sabli are playing together. That's the best big 3 in the WNBA right now. So that'll be a scary one to watch. Uh, my 6 will be LA. I think Plum, Hamby, Brink, and Rakia Jackson all together will be enough of a dynamic like starting group to overcome the areas they don't have strength in, which is their bench. And then 7, I have Seattle. I think it's the best up and coming roster, especially with their bigs. Mag Jabor, Agumake, and Malonga, who they just got as a rookie. I'm very excited to watch. Might be the first person to ever dunk on somebody in the WNBA. We'll see. And then Chicago is my 8. I have, Angel and Courtney Vandersloot, and then Haley Van Lith kind of leading that group. And I feel like they'll be able to get out that final spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we kind of all have the same there. I did the same thing as Logan, where I kind of split it up. The Liberty Lynx. I like the Sun, but I've got the Aces, Seattle Storm, Fever is kind of like my locks there. Mercury as well. I got the Sun and the Mercury mixed up there. But I see Chicago making it in there down kind of towards the bottom, and who knows with the Wings. I feel like it'll be kind of similar to Caitlin Clark's first year, where maybe they have a slow start, but once she starts figuring out the league, Paige Buckets that is, maybe they could sneak in there. But yeah, that's my 8. I listed them off there pretty quick, but
All right. Well, now that we've got that fleshed out, who do we have as our contenders? Colton, I'll let you go.
Definitely the Wings. Like having that motivation, then I would probably have them as my 1 seed. Like I feel like that's going to be huge. So I think they're the ones I'm looking at pretty highly. The Liberty, of course, the Aces, of course. You got Asia, who in my opinion probably is the best player in the league, and the Fever I think are there too. The retooling, they might be one sort of like the Timberwolves, where they didn't have the best regular season, but by the time they get to the playoffs, they'll be firing on all cylinders. You got to mention the Storm in there as well. But I think I like the Lynx, I like the Liberty, and the Fever as well. It's probably my big 3.
Logan, who you got?
My big 3 is similar. I got the Lynx, Liberty, and the Aces.
Yeah, it should be a big 4 Aces for me. Yeah,
I'm going all in on star power. So I definitely think the teams that have been there and the teams that have been kind of dominating in recent memory, I think I'm gonna go with them, and I'm gonna keep it as that.
Yeah, I have the Lynx, Liberty, the Aces, and the Fever. I think Indiana doesn't have that experience. Well, I mean, they have the roster with the experience now, and they have Stephanie White, who's a great new coach. Won't make as many interesting lineup choices as the last coach did. And then I feel like everybody else is just competing for a participation trophy because it's going to be one of those 4 that win the championship, in my opinion. And then moving on to preseason awards, the most interesting conversation. Who you got for MVP? Logan, tell me who you got.
As much as I wanted to pick Caitlin Clark, I find it hard to go against who the woman who's probably going to go down as one of the greatest ever played the game. I can't go against Asia Wilson. I cannot go against Asia Wilson. She has been dominating ever since she came up, and I seriously think that she's going to cement her legacy again this year, and it's going to continue to just the legend of Asia Wilson is going to continue to grow, and I think another MVP to that awards cabinet is coming her way this year.
Yeah, I'm in the same group there. Like Caitlin Clark may be the odds-on favorite, but give me Asia. Give me the one who's proven time and time again she's the best player in the league. And I just got to ask, I'm not as familiar with the game as you two, so what is it going to take for us to put? I feel like she's kind of in the conversations already, but like, what is it going to take for us to put her in GOAT conversations for the WNBA? Asia.
I think for me, she's already on the Mount Rushmore. So I feel like
Okay.
she is already in those conversations. And I feel like another MVP or another title, one of the two, and just by the end of her career, kind of solidifies her as the best player ever, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, similar to Alex, I think just whatever accolades she can pick up now, it's all really just like add on for her career. She's already cemented herself, and I feel like the more she can add on, the more that legacy will grow, and the more she can distance herself.
Yeah.
For sure. For me, I am going with the odds-on favorite only because I think voter fatigue sets in here. Asia's
True.
already won 3 in a very, very short time. Caitlin Clark's going to be on one of the most fun teams to watch, I feel like, this season. And obviously, she's already highlighted so much. And the only thing that would keep me from picking Caitlin would be her age, but Candace Parker won Rookie of the Year and MVP in her first year. So they kind of can't have that argument against her. So I feel like this is hers to win this year just because voter fatigue. I still feel Asia's a better player and somebody you should pick number 1 if you're doing fantasy basketball, by the way. But I think Caitlin Clark gets it just because voter fatigue and because she's arguably the second best player in the league. And then moving on to Rookie of the Year, I think we are all going to have the same one. But Colton, let me know who you got.
Give me buckets, Paige Buckets, man. She is. I don't know if I even have to say anything. Her last name's Buckets, and if you know anything about WNBA women's basketball, you've seen this woman play, and she's a bucket.
No,
Logan?
I agree. I agree with Colton. I think her game is going to effortlessly translate to the pro level.
Mhm.
I've been watching her for a long time. She like I told you guys before we started recording. She's my all-time favorite women's college basketball player. Even just college basketball player in general, she's up there for me. She's been one I've been watching since she came up, and I'm serious. I have a lot of respect for Caitlin Clark. However, I think she might be starting to get nervous a little bit now that Paige Buckets is in the W. So I think it's hers to lose. It would take a serious like push from someone like Haley Van Lith, to really unseat her. But I really think that Paige Buckets got this one locked up.
I completely agree. I don't think there's ever been a more outright favorite besides the last 2 years than these two. Caitlin last year and Paige, I feel like definitely going to win it this year. Malonga, I would pick in pretty much any other year besides these last two because I feel like she's going to put up gaudy numbers, especially on a Seattle team that doesn't have that great of a roster. And again, she might be the first person to ever dunk on somebody in a WNBA game. So that'll get her some recognition for sure. But Paige Becker's right beside Enrique, either getting the assist to her or getting open buckets because of Enrique. She's going to put up fantastic numbers, and I can't wait to see how she plays. And now, Defensive Player of the Year, Logan, who you got?
I wanted to go Collier back to back. However, I do think that like I said earlier, this is going to be a legacy season for Asia Wilson. I think Asia Wilson brings home the deep boy this year. I think she is arguably one of like we said the best player. She's one of the best defenders the W's ever seen, and she's a shot blocking machine. And I do think that this is going to be an absolute banner year for Asia Wilson. And this is going to be one of those seasons, like we said, that really cements her legacy and keeps the legend of Asia Wilson growing.
Colton?
I see that. I mean, she's the odds-on favorite right now, but I'm going back to back for Nafessa Collier. I think she is going to lock up this year for sure. And but I do see your point on the legacy season for Asia. I think it'll be close, and we'll just have to see how it all ends up. Maybe we mentioned the footer fatigue for Asia. Maybe they don't give her MVP, but give her DPOY to still give her some recognition. So I could see that working.
For sure. I definitely think they will be 1 and 2 in the voting. I would lean towards Nafisa Collier. I just think, as I said earlier, they're going to be the hungrier team. She's going to be the defensive leader on that team. She'll be out for blood. And then I
Right.
think Asia's numbers dip just a tiny bit because Liz Kitley will also be in the post with her. And Liz Kitley is a fantastic defender. So I feel like those numbers might go down just a touch to where we're used to. And if they're not extremely great like they always have been, we're like, oh, she's having a down year. And it's just normal, great, all star level play.
Mhm.
So I think because of that, Nafisa might get Depoy. And now moving on to most improved player. Colton, who you got?
I got Aaliyah Edwards.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Still learning some names in here. And I can't really give like one specific reason why. I'm just feeling it. I was just looking at the odds on favorites, looked at what they did last season. And I'm just like, I feel like she's in position to get that most improved player.
Logan, who you got?
This is definitely one where I took the biggest swing. There were a couple names I was looking at. However, and like Colton did, I was also doing some research on the odds just to look at that as well.
Mhm.
My most improved player is going to be Kate Martin from the Golden State
Mm.
Valkyries.
Okay. I
I
like that.
I seriously think obviously Kate Martin didn't have a very big role last season. However, I think being on an expansion team and being one of those players that gets taken in the expansion draft, I think she's going to have a, a sizable role compared to what she had in the past, and be kind of like a focal point for that Valkyrie team. And I think she's got a good shot at it. She's going to get her shot, no doubt. And I'm excited to see what Kate Martin can do this year.
I like that take. I like that take a lot.
I very much do too, because the Aces showed that they believed in her. Honestly, she just didn't get as many minutes as I'm sure as she would have hoped. But my pick is Cameron Brink. I think she's allowed to be in the running because she played some games last year, and so with a full season behind her and great pieces around her, Kelsey Plum running the pick and roll with her, and Dearica Hamby roaming the paint with her, I feel like she's going to be able to put up some crazy numbers, and we're excited to see her first full season, hopefully. So I think she wins Most Improved Player because of that. And then
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I was checking. She is on the odds, so I'm assuming that means she's eligible for MIP.
And I was looking at the odds as well, and I saw
Very
like
large.
Caitlin Clark and Asia on there, and I was like, that shouldn't even be a thing. Like we should not allow players at that level to win that award.
I
But
mean,
Exactly.
if you're just gonna if somebody actually makes that bet, then they
That's a donation.
they're
if you
just
want to throw
throwing
away
away
money, yeah,
money.
go ahead.
If you want
No,
to donate
that's the same
money,
argument people used to make about Steph Curry. They were saying, yeah, Steph Curry could win the most improved player this year because his numbers have just gone up so much. No, that's not how that works. That is not
no.
how that award works.
It's sad because ever since Ja Morant won, it's kind of had that effect. Like we expected Ja to improve. It's supposed to be like a guy like Dyson Daniels this year that
Yeah.
we knew he'd get a bigger role with the Hawks, but he became one of the best defenders in the league and all of that. And I feel like that we kind of lost that a little bit until this year. I like the Dyson Daniels pick.
And then the last awards was first team. Who you got, Logan?
Like I told you guys before, mine's pretty chalky.
Mhm.
I got so I real quick. I do have a question. Is it position locked? Is there position requirements or just any?
Positionless, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
So
good.
that makes me feel a little bit different. Then. So I Ionescu, Clark, Collier, and Wilson, and then the fourth that fifth and final one. I have Brianna Stewart written down. However, I'm hard pressed to believe it's not going to be Aaliyah Boston. I
Ooh,
really think I
okay.
think I
Mm.
think this is a big
I like
step up
that.
year for Aaliyah Boston. So I think I'm torn between the two, but as of now, I'm going to stick with Stewie. But I think Aaliyah Boston's someone we need to watch out for.
Colton, who you
Okay.
got?
All right. I got Wilson, Clark, and Eskew and Collier. But then I put in my fifth, and I guess this is probably a harder take than I thought it was originally. I got Paige Buckets in that All NBA for WNBA first team.
Okay.
So rookie making it, I can see it. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Buckets.
I respect it.
I really liked last year's first team, and I think it's going to look extremely similar. So I got Caitlin Clark, Stewie, Asia, and Nafisa Collier, but I do not have Alyssa Thomas. I have Arike because I feel like she's going to put up some otherworldly numbers with Paige Buckets right beside her.
Hmm. I
So
respect that.
moving on to the most important award that you can win in the season, who do you all got in the finals?
I have the exact same matchup as last season. I have Lynx Liberty. However, I do think the Lynx come out on top this time. I watched the last game of the finals, and I'm not gonna say the whistle was questionable. However, that Liberty team definitely. I'm not gonna say they got lucky because they were a great team. However, I do think the Lynx are going to come back, like you said, with a vengeance, and they are going to be that hungry team. And I think if they get that matchup again, uh, they're going to want that matchup again, and they're going to win that matchup.
I have a question. Do the
Go
awards get
for it.
announced before the playoffs or after or during?
I
The
can't
award.
remember. Do you remember, Logan?
I do not. I feel like it's after,
Hmm. This
just
hurts.
because.
This hurts my pick a little bit. Then.
What do you got?
So what I'm going for is Asia gets snubbed MVP, even though I know I picked her. But Asia gets snubbed MVP. She gets pissed off. And what happens when the best player in the WNBA gets pissed off? Championship. I got the Aces knocking off the Lynx. Lynx once again falling short. Really, I could see it going either way. But I'm gonna go with the best player on the floor, and that's Asia in my opinion. And I got the Aces. I guess kind of upset because they got the top end talent, but maybe not the depth that you're looking for. But I want to put faith in again the best player in the league.
Well, I have the biased hot take. I'm taking the Indiana Fever in
Okay.
7 over Minnesota. I'm really excited to see the series finally go to 7 games this year. That
Hmm.
is a very interesting change that the WNBA made.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to see that. But I think Indiana wins in seven. So I can't wait to see how this finals turns out. And then
Um,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to ask: are the first few rounds still like the 3 and 5, or is it all 7 games now?
I think it's the last two rounds are seven, and then the first one is still five,
Okay,
I believe.
okay, all right. I like that. I
Uh,
wish the NBA would adapt that.
yeah. So the top three games to kick off as season starts Friday. So the games I just wanted to mention were the Lynx versus the Wings, the runner-up from last year versus Paige Beckers in her first game, and then Saturday Indiana Chicago, a revamped Indiana team versus Haley Van Lith, and then I guess Caitlin Clark versus Angel is a little interesting too.
I was going to say there's a player on that team
I was like,
that has a little
And
more
then
faith.
Aces versus Liberty on Saturday as well is the best rivalry in the WNBA, so that is very interesting as well.
yeah, that was like kind of what we talked about before. They absolutely cooked with those Saturday matchups. That beginning of season scheduling they did, they knew what they were doing, and I really think that Saturday is going to be a good day of hoops.
Absolutely, I can't argue with that.
All right, so for our last segment, we have our shooting star for the week, the player that shined the most this week, in our opinion. So, who you got, Logan?
We were singing his praises earlier. I got to give it to Julius Randle. I seriously think, just in terms of not even in terms of pure numbers, because if it was pure numbers, I'd probably go Donovan Mitchell. But I will say, it's like we talked about, Julius Randle has stepped up and proven himself as a real focal point for this Timberwolves team now, and he has been the difference maker both in this series and the previous one. So Julius Randle gets my shooting star of the week.
Colton, who you got?
I had a couple ideas. If it was pure numbers, like Logan said, I probably would have gone with Mitchell. But I'm going to be a homer and just go with Tyrese. He's had the overrated. Even Wally Serbiak, outstanding analyst on the NBA, has called him overrated in the past. So just finally kind of knocking that is such a great feeling. Not having to hear about it, not having to be asked about it as a Pacers fan. It's just a nice feeling. So shout out Tyrese for finally shutting up the haters.
Yeah, how much effect do you think the fact that his dad's not allowed to be there? How much do you think that has on him that it's got him playing like this?
Yeah, I think that's a great. That definitely helps not having that. Seeing how his dad was, and I even said after that happened with Giannis, I was like, I don't even want to win this next series. Like, if that's how we're acting, like, but
Yeah,
obviously I still want to actually win this series. But yeah, I think that definitely has an effect for sure.
Yeah, so I would also agree. Halliburton is the shooting star of the week. Before Game Three, was averaging 20 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
Hmm.
Pretty impressive stuff. 62% field goal and 50% from three. And now he has two 7+ point comebacks in the last minute. He
Yeah,
might have orchestrated those. I don't know if you all heard, but teams before that were 1 in 1,640 in other games in that situation. So shout out to Tyrese Halliburton for getting the overrated claim off his back, and he's never going to have another 4 point performance in the playoffs again.
man, I'm getting a little emotional over here. Just all the love that Tyrese is getting, man. It's so great. It's great time to be a Pacers fan until tonight, and we even the series.
Well, any final thoughts from you all?
Nah,
uh,
go
Thunder up. We got
Pacers.
9 minutes.
Yeah, we got a Thunder game to go watch.
Yes,
Well, let's
sir.
let Logan go. That will do it for the first episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Subscribe to the CX Podcast Network for more sports talk. We'll have MLB and NASCAR coming soon. So follow me on Twitter at the Will Deal and Colton at Colt45, Colt_45. Logan, where can the people find you at?
Instagram and Twitter at Logan_4. I'm not very active on Twitter, but
Mhm.
I'd be happy to get started. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on
Yeah,
today. I was happy to be here.
of course.
It's been a good time. It's always a good time talking ball with you guys,
Mhm.
and I'm just I'm happy to be back in the thick of it.
Yeah, One thing I do want to interject: be sure to check out your guys, Alex, Josh, and Garrett had an interview with Ben Baby that was just posted yesterday. Technically, the first post of the new channel, so be sure to go check out that interview. I haven't checked it out yet, but I heard some really great things about it. So after the Thunder game, I'll definitely give it a listen and watch it. So be sure to go to the channel and check that out as well.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Logan and Colton, for being on the show. Can't
Mhm.
wait for the next one.
Oh
Thanks
yeah.
for listening to you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Be smooth.